What up, everybody? This your boy P-Funk, aka TBSP, the Bus Stop Philosopher, on YouTube. And you watching the No Broadcast. Today I want to talk about bailouts, part 3. Or as J-Lo and Fat Joe would put it, the remix to the remix of the remix. Alright? I'm going to hold you down. Alright? Today I just want to talk about something different. I mean, I guess every day I want to talk about something different, but today I just want to do something a little bit less than usual. I want to talk about airplanes, or you could say airlines or airliners. There's those great big enormous flying buses where you take your shoes off in an elaborate pre-boarding ceremony. And it's the industry that in recent years has to restrict its customers from traveling with all kinds of emotional support animals, to the point where even as recently as January, put out stories where we're like, sorry, we can no longer, do the Noah's Ark thing with pigs, peacocks, cats, and even miniature horses. Out of O'Hare Airport, someone's flying with a miniature horse. And this, I didn't make this shit up. New York Times, NBC News, you can check all of this shit out. Anyway, it's an industry that's so profit driven, right? It's so profit driven and just so Wild West about it that cost cutting design measures ultimately was paid for in human lives. I mean, we've seen it. I don't have to detail what airplanes, when they fail, what happens. Everybody knows what happens if you come out of the sky too fast. And this is an industry that one insider or one person who worked in the industry said it was clowns supervised by monkeys. Which is really, that's really, for somebody who worked in that business to say that, it's like, it's really saying that it was poorly managed or whatever. And that's if I remember correctly. And then furthermore, the monkeys are no longer allowed on the planes that they supervised to be built. How's that, I can remember when Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez suggested an idea to reduce our dependence on air travel as part of the so-called Green New Deal. But the airline industry didn't want no parts of that deal. They decided to play the same old cards from the same old deck, just to remind us how essential their services are to business and commerce, and how much time air travel can save over options like high-speed rail and tunnels and automobiles. They remind us of how critical they are to military response, emergency response industry, infrastructure, and how which will collapse without them, And they remind us how much they contribute to programs and how they spur job expansion in the communities. And, they bring the headquarters to your town, and there's X amount of jobs created, I guess they say, and X amount of dollars and this percent of GDP or your local or state economy, makes so much money or whatnot. And to be fair, air travel is an industry where it can be quite difficult to turn a profit. The complexity of it is beyond the scope of this video, but let's just point it out like this. We all know the story of the prominent U.S. businessman who started his own airline. Then he went bankrupt and decided it would be much easier to just run for president instead. And that way, you get to fly around free in Air Force One to all your golf courses. It's simple. It's easier to just become the president and get a free plane than to start your own airline, because running an airline is tough. So And, you know, all of it. Manufacturing airplanes, running the airline, making the whole thing profitable is tough. I understand that. I'm not in the airplane business, so I'm sure there's something I missed. So forgive me, you know, airline professionals. But my point is not to you, it's to as a whole. Incidentally, what's so funny about it is this is the same man that they're going to come to hat in hand looking for what their investors should have did a long time ago. Bailout. Should have got out of there. But they'll get their bailout too because they know that saying 4 little words will make U.S. citizens sign the check. 4 little words. Too big to fail. Boom! Uncle Sam opens his checkbook, puts on his glasses. We wouldn't want the industry to collapse. It's too big to fail. And we've been through this before. That's why this is Bailout Part 3. Okay? We had General Motors and Chrysler. Auto industry came. They wanted to bail out. About 12 years ago, here's the banking industry. Lehman Brothers goes bankrupt. Merrill Lynch, AIG, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, all want to bail out. And they get it. Because why? Too big to fail. But it's okay if Leroy fails. It's okay if Mary fails, Tyrone, Akeisha. It's okay if Rodney loses his job. It's okay if Bill or John is homeless or can't make the rent. And it's all right, you know, if you know, people are fail without the bailout. So when you look at it in that light, how big is too big and how small is too small, I guess. Because people like Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard, they have both pushed the idea of a UBI, Universal Basic Income, both like broadly in the case of Andrew Yang for like every citizen, every adult citizen. And then in the face of the COVID-19 outbreak, Congressman Gabbard has suggested releasing funds in a universal way for a bailout of the American family. Okay? And I like both suggestions for bailing out the American family because we need to bail out the American family as opposed to bailing out another failing industry by taking food off of our mouth or off of our table of the working class or the 99% or whatever. So the next time someone tells you that this industry is too big to fail or that business or that company is too big to fail, just simply reply, no, it isn't. 3 words. No, it isn't. Humanity is too big to fail. And that's the only bailout they haven't tried. Thanks for checking out my video. Check out more episodes on my YouTube channel and across social media. I'll put the links below. Thank you. And I hope your day is wonderful.